Welcome back to My Hero Academia Anime Review, episode number 35. This is our 70th episode of Unforeseen Hope. This episode, unlike last couple episodes where it's adapting 4 chapters, this one does mostly 3. Goes from chapter 153 through just almost the entirety of 155. They did cut off like halfway through, like they cut off like half the page from the last page of the chapter, but I think they'll probably finish up next week's chapter. Alright, with this episode, we kind of rewind. Now, this first portion of the episode takes place during the same time that Lemuria's fight's going on with Overhaul. We have Deku, Rockload, Night Eye, and Eraserhead talking to one of Overhaul's goons, trying to get him restored the underground way it was, and also figuring out, like, the mentioning about what happened with Toga and Thrice. They're in the episode, and you see one brief scene. Heck, Thrice basically made the funny suggestion that he and Toga should kiss. Yeah, it's been hinted at throughout the whole series that Thrice has a thing for Toga. She is so far not reciprocated his feelings. I mean, he probably thinks she's smoking hot, but yeah. So they just walk off and just basically, like, he whispers something to her, and then he's like, "Ooh, Todoroki basically, so Todoroki basically be so happy with that. What that is, we don't figure out in this episode." And then we have Eraserhead, Night Eye, and Deku run down a hallway, and then we have Deku kicking right through a wall, getting to pretty much when we got to the end of last week's episode. Mirio, who's protecting Eri, of course, Night Eye runs over to check on both of them, hugs them both. Deku takes on, basically lands a big, humongous punch on Overhaul's arm, and it looks like he broke his arm because of how strong he is. Yep. And this episode started their first really big fight, and they basically brawl the whole episode. Well, about halfway through, and then Night Eye basically decided to tag himself in to have, just so that Deku could take Mirio and Eri out of the room, basically taking to safety. He gets part with it, he has to go back because he doesn't want Night Eye, because he probably doesn't want Night Eye to die. So, and before he gets there, Night Eye gets impaled in the arm and basically his freaking side. Yeah. Of course, Night Eye is also throwing stamps at Overhaul. Yes, throwing freaking stamps. He's also using his foresight to see like a few seconds in the future. Just so he can foresee a particular move that Overhaul is going to do. And before he does this, Overhaul takes the guy who has built the confession, and he merges with him. He also has one of his lackeys, so he also fixes his head. He takes Eraserhead to another room, and of course, if you know what this guy looks like, apparently his hair is like our hands of a clock, and that's last see of Eraserhead. But don't worry, he's fine. He's not gonna die. Then if Deku come back and resume his fight with Overhaul, and he also takes off one of his gloves. Yes, one of his long gauntlet gloves that he's had since the hero license exam, and it looks like it disintegrates. Now, I'm not really sure of how the heck this was accomplished. He didn't really touch him. One thing I did appreciate the anime did add in is having Overhaul walk over to the confession guy, take his face, sort of crush and kind of merge with himself. They actually add that's actually an addition to the episode, because in the manga it's like just grab the face and then it becomes basically what it is. They actually added that thing in. Yep, and they fight for a while until Deku himself is impaled. Well, he gets hit basically in his arm, the one that basically removed his gauntlet with. Yeah, the gauntlet, and the other one in his leg. He's able. Eri, of course, comes back because this is another thing they added in. You actually see him basically in one of his hands summon a mouth, probably his own mouth, and basically speaking very loud. Have Eri come back. Eri does come back and says, "Stop! I'll come back. Can you please fix him?" It's like, "Oh, that's why you want to see people get hurt." And Deku's like, he just takes out the one spike that was in his leg and crushes it with his hand, with his bare hand. And of course, presumably, he takes off the other one. And they're about to resume their fight, and then the dragon hero blasts right through the freaking ceiling. And she doesn't say what she does in the manga, which is bullseye. Yeah, they actually cut that out surprisingly. But what a way to end the episode with the dragon hero crashing through what appears about 20 stories. Yeah, crashing right through this frickin' underground. Yeah, but how this is going to be accomplished, wait till next week. That's when I'll explain it. Just like it was this episode. Yeah, that's the one thing interesting about the last two episodes. We actually kind of back up and get to how we get to that particular point. Yeah, I don't mind it at all. But it looks like though next week's episode kind of mostly wrap up this arc. And yeah, that's the way it looks though when I look at what chapters are going to be adapted for next week. Yeah, they're back to adapting 4. So my guess is 77 will actually finish up this arc. And either one, start the brief arc, the arc that was like 6 chapters, either going to do that, or they're going to do the cultural sports festival arc, the cultural arc, which in and of itself is only about 15 chapters. Yeah, but as far as I could tell for this particular season, because I had heard the season's going to last for about 26 episodes. I think actually it was 25. I think it was. Yeah, I think it was like 25, 26. There's not many episodes left. This is only like episode 75, and I think the season's supposed to end with 88, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's supposed to end with 88. So with the 77 pretty much wrapping up this particular arc, there's still plenty of room to adapt that very next arc, that brief 6-chapter arc, which is probably going to start next week anyways. Actually about 2 weeks from now. And probably go through that brief arc really quickly, because it's only about 6 chapters, and then pretty much spend the rest of the season to go to the cultural sports festival arc, which is only about 15 chapters. That's take about, I'd say, 7 episodes. I'd say probably take up the rest of the season. Yeah, it probably will, because that's probably gonna do. Probably have that particular arc pretty much cap out this particular season. Yep. But I gotta say, it's a pretty good episode from my standpoint, even though the fight itself was a bit disappointing, goes over really quickly. But something bad's gonna happen to Night Eye, because in case you read the manga, he's not there anymore. I'm not gonna spoil exactly what happened to him. I will tell that with next week's episode, because I think they're probably gonna adapt that particular portion of the arc. Yeah, that's probably gonna be handled next week of what happens to him. Yep. So yeah, that's it for this particular review. My next review is going to be Comic Corner. I'm also going to do a review Case Closed and my first review for Ruby. Yep, that's going to be handled today. And if I get time to, I'll probably do a review for Rama Hat, because my plan is simply this. Just watch the first season of the show, just get a gist of it, just so that when I come back to the series, after finishing another show, which is only about 26 episodes, and this, of course, after I probably won't get back to the season. I might get back to the season probably as soon as I finish the Rama Half, or after I finish the next series. It depends on my mood, okay? But till you see you next review. Bye.